Hi guys. Um, so I'll be taking us through different modules on eBanqo Messenger web application. And basically what we'll be focusing on is how to use some of these modules, how to set up your knowledge base, and how to chat with customers, how customers use your bots, how they can get responses, instant responses on different channels, and how they can get handed over to support, and how support can, from the eBanqo Messenger application, how they can chat with customers, and also how you can train the bot from the field responses, how you can add your field responses to your field requests to knowledge base. So these are some of the things that we'll be looking at today on the eBanqo Messenger platform. So let's get right into it. The first thing I would like to show, so this is the eBanqo Messenger platform. And once you sign in, the first thing I would like to show is the knowledge base. So under configurations, you go to the knowledge base here, and you see that your knowledge base here, this particular client has different knowledge base. You have within each knowledge base, you have different sections. So here you can create a knowledge base by clicking this button to create a knowledge base. Or if you have an existing knowledge base, you can click on the menu here to take different actions on this particular knowledge base. So let's say I want to edit an existing knowledge base. This knowledge base is FAQs, and we have different sections under the FAQs knowledge base. So this particular client has small talks, account opening, about the platform, general questions, support, and small talks. So these are the different sections that exist under this knowledge base called FAQs. So if you look at the extreme right, you would see different action that may be taken. You can add you can create a new section. Creating a new section give you the ability to add questions and answers, right? You can continue adding questions and answers, and when you're done, you create the knowledge base. So let's say the question is, can I get a loan, for example? And then you say, to get a loan, please send us a mail at charles@ebanqo.com. Yeah, you can add it and continue adding different other questions and answers until you're done. Then you can create the great knowledge base that creates your section immediately. Yeah, so that is how to create new sections. Let's say you want to create, excuse me, you want to edit other existing sections. You can use the edit button. It brings out the questions and answers within that particular sections, and you can edit the existing questions. You can edit existing questions, or you can add new questions and answers as you have it here. So remember that in a knowledge base, you have different sections under the knowledge base, and you can create additional sections under the knowledge base. You can edit the existing question and answers within each section. So why it is important that your knowledge base is created in section is because, number one, so that in the future, when you want to add new question and answers, you know exactly what section you need to go to add those questions, or you want to edit an existing question, you know exactly what section you should go to, because you've already created those the knowledge base in sections. You know that those questions and answers are in different sections. The other reason is because of reporting, which I'm going to show later on in this session. So because that when we're presenting to you the kinds of questions your customers are asking, we're presenting it to you in in those in sections. Yeah. So I'm going, like I said, I'm going to show you at a later time in this in this session. So let's say a customer comes and ask a question like, what types of loan do you offer? Let's say customer come to WhatsApp, for example, and say, what types of loans do you have? Yeah. Because this particular business have provisioned this a response to this question in the knowledge base, the bot goes to the knowledge base and fetch the response. So you see, the question here is, what types of loan do you have? And the response is, we offer several types of loan. So a customer had come to demo bank, for example. This is just a demo, and it says, what types of loan do you have? You can see that this is the response here, right? So, and because we use natural language processing, it doesn't have to be, the question doesn't have to be asked exactly the same way it is in the knowledge base. The bot tries to understand the context, understand the meaning of the question the customer is asking, and it takes that insight into your knowledge base to search the most appropriate response to the customer. Yeah. So let's say customer came and asked it a bit differently. Let's say customer says, can I get a loan? Yeah, it does the same thing. It processes the request to understand what the customer is saying, and it takes that insight into the knowledge base. As you can see, it still returns what you regard as the best appropriate response. So when the bot gives the response, yeah, the bot basically asks a follow-up question to be certain that the response satisfies the customer's request. So it says, does the above answer your request? And the customer can say no, or yes or no. So let's say this customer says no, this has not answered my request. Yeah. What then happens is it goes back to the knowledge base to see if there are more matching responses. If there are more matching responses, it then returns it to the customer. If there are none, it basically requests to pass the customer on to a support person. But in this case, there are more matching responses and it returns it to the customer. You basically ask the same follow-up question to be sure that the more responses that he gave has answered the request. So the customer can either say yes or no. So let's say this customer says no, he doesn't answer my request. Now what happens is, as the bot here now realizes that, oh, I've not been able to help this guy with this request. So here, two things happen. The first thing that happens is he basically requests to pass this customer on to a support agent. He said, okay, would you like to chat with a support agent? And the customer can say yes or no. So let's say the customer says yes. Immediately the customer confirms the customer yes. The customer confirms yes. The customer is transferred to somewhere we call the support queue. If you can see this queue, just joined the queue. So now that the customer has been passed to the support queue, and to go to the support queue under conversations, we have what we call the support queue under conversations. You have what we call the support queue. Another support queue, you can see that you have customers that have opted to chat with support. Yeah. So this is Ralph from web chat. This is Charles from WhatsApp. So let's say another customer had come on a different channel. So let's say another customer had come from a different channel. So let's on Messenger, on Facebook Messenger, I just say support. So this could be anything. This could be, I want to chat. I want to speak with a human, and it says, please enter a brief description of your inquiry. I want to know more know about your loan service. Yeah. So this is the brief description, and it basically has, I'll be transferring to a customer agent with that. Should I go ahead with that? And it says yes. Immediately the confirmation is received, it transfers that customer to the same queue here. You see that another Charles from Facebook. So this list can go on and on and on and on. You can have as many as the customers that are on the queue, and you would see the time they joined the queue, the timestamp. You'd also see the channel the customers are coming from. So you see Ralph, that is the first person in the queue coming from web chat. You see Charles from WhatsApp. You see another Charles from Facebook. So you can see someone else coming from in-app chat. You could see someone else coming from Twitter. So from one single screen, you can actually see customers that want to chat with you from different channels. So let's say Charles, we want to start a chat with Charles from WhatsApp. We click on Charles. Down here, we'll see a button that says start chatting with Charles, and then we initiate the chat. We confirm. Immediately we initiate the chat. This chat is open, and then we have it as active chats. Yeah. So you have the queue, and then you have the active chat. The active chat, because this chat is now active, it has started with Charles, and immediately the chat starts, the customer gets a prompt on the channel that says, hi, you are through to Charles. Charles here is the agent's name, the support agent name. How can I help you? So I can say, thanks for chatting with me. I was asking what kind of loans I can get from your organization. Yeah. So real time, you can see that real time, Charles can chat with the agent and the agent can respond. Hi there. Thanks for reaching out. So real time, you can see that the agent and the customer can actually chat. And I can also pick another customer, Charles from Facebook. Yeah, so now I have two active chats. So I could be chatting with more than one person at the same time. I could be chatting with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 customers. So I could say, and this is Charles from Facebook. I could say, hello on Facebook. How can I help you today? So you see the real time. When the agent picks up the customer, it says, hi, you're through to Charles. How can I help you? And the agent now types hello on Facebook. How can I help you today? And says, I am asking about your loan service. Yeah. So real time, you can see the conversation. So you can see that the agent is chatting with two people at the same time. You see the active chat, and then you see the rest of people that are on the queue, and you can continue to pick from the queue while you have your active chat here. So as the chats go on, when the chat is done, I can end the chat by clicking the hamburger menu here. Clicking the hamburger menu, I can look at the chat history, I can view the message intro, I can view the customer information, right? But here I want to end the chat here. So ending the chat gives me the opportunity to select an end reason for the chat. So I could say the customer issue was resolved, there was no response from the customer. So let's say we say the customer issues was resolved and we can end the chat, right? Then the chat is done and the chat goes away. We can do the same for this. We say, let's end this chat. And then we end the chat and the chat goes away. So remember that If you want to chat with customers that have opted to chat with you, you go to conversations and you have them on the support queue. On the support queue, you can select the customer you want to chat with, and then you begin chatting with the customer. Now, in user messages, you can see user messages has what you would popularly call the chat history. Now, the chat history, the user messages shows you the chat history with your customers on different channels. So you see other user messages, we have log of past conversations and ongoing conversations with the customer. So you see Charles Ademola, this is a conversation that is happening with Charles Ademola on WhatsApp. That is a conversation that is happening with Charles Ademola on Facebook. You see that is a conversation that happened with Samuel on Facebook. So you can see all the past conversation with your customers on different channels. So when you open it, you see that those conversations are logged in sessions. So these are different sessions that happen with Charles on that particular channel. Open another one, you see the sessions that happened with that particular customer on that particular channel. So you can see that Charles has had different sessions on Facebook. You see that he just recently concluded one by 12:17 a.m. And the chat happened with the bot. He had another one with support. Yep. And we can open each session to see the conversation within that particular session. I can open another one and see the chat that happened within that session. So remember that they're logged in sessions, and you'll be able to expand each session to see the conversation within that particular session. So you can do that for all of this. You can view chats on WhatsApp, what are the sessions and what are the conversations within each session. And here using the hamburger menu here, you can view user info, or you can even send notifications to Charles, and it gets delivered to Charles on that channel. So sending a push notification, we can say thanks for using this channel. Your issue has now been resolved. Yeah. And then we can add media files, we can have a photo, we can add photo or video, we can add audio documents, we can add all of these media files here, and then we can send, and it gets delivered to that particular channel that the customer is coming from, which is WhatsApp in this case. Yeah. So remember, this is user messages where you can view the past and ongoing conversations with customer. And beyond viewing past and ongoing conversations with your customer, you can send push notifications, and it gets delivered to that single customer on that particular channel. Yeah. So for feed responses, inside conversations, you have the support queue user messages, and now what we're looking at is the field responses. Now the field responses are those requests that the bot has not been able to sufficiently handle, or that the bot doesn't even understand at all. So if I take us back to when we were chatting earlier on, the customer asked a question that, can I get a loan? And the bot provided the responses as it's provided, as it is provisioned in knowledge base. And it has, does the above answer your request? The customer said no. It brought some more responses from the knowledge base, and he basically asked the same question, that does he answer your request? And the customer said no. Remember that I said two things happen. The first thing that happened is it requests to transfer the customer to an agent for more help. And that was the first thing that happened. Now, the second thing that happened is the bot now recognizes this as a failed request because he wasn't able to help the customer with his request. So he logs it here as a failed response for you to treat. So in the failed response, you can see what the customer said, and you can see the response the bot gave. You can see the time it happened. You can see the customer that gives this request, and you can see the channel. Yeah. So the main thing here is this is where you can assist the bot in getting better and better with your customer's request. So what is expected here is that you look at the request, and you and you are able to define a more appropriate response to that particular request. So in this case, can I get a loan? You are on the extreme right, you have this hamburger menu where you can see the different actions that can be taken. So you can add this particular request to your knowledge base, or you can add this particular request to a service, and then, or you can mark as result. So add to knowledge base is pretty simple. You already know what knowledge base is. It's what we showed earlier when we started this session. Knowledge base is that resource that contains all your frequently asked questions, and you have already prepared a knowledge base in sections, right? So let's say we are adding this to the knowledge base. Adding this to the knowledge base requires you to select the particular knowledge base it is going into. So let's say FAQs. And because there are different sections, so you should also select the section that the question should go into. So say we are selected account opening, you can edit the request, or you can just provide the response as it is and say, can I get a loan? You can apply for a loan over a period of 5 years. Please send a mail to Charles Yeah. So okay, you can okay this, and immediately you okay this, it goes straight to this section. Yeah, it goes straight to that section, and immediately it is saved. When customer comes with this request or a variant of this request, the bot is able to provide this new response that you have defined as the most appropriate response to this request. Yeah, so that's how you had to a service, to your knowledge base. You had this request to your knowledge base. Now let's say you don't want that request to trigger knowledge base, but you want it to trigger a service. Yeah, what do we mean by a service? A service means that if you have automations, let's say, for example, this particular business has automations, so customers can do things like fund transfer. Customer can do things like fund transfer. Customers can check balance. Customers can perform hair time. They can buy hair time from this particular channel. So let me show you the services that are possible. Yeah. So so customers of this bank can actually do mini statements. They can do balance. They can do airtime top up. They can do full statements. They can do bill payment and fund transfer. So these are the services that are possible now. So those are what we refer to as services. And now you can say you can add a request. You can add a request to trigger a service. So adding the request to a service means that you can now select, so you can see account balance, airtime top up. So let's say this request is something like, how much do I have left in my account, for example. So that means, okay, this guy wants to check his balance, so this thing should trigger balance. Then we can select account balance, and immediately we select account balance and save. When a customer comes with that request, yeah, it is going to trigger that service for the customer immediately. Yeah. So you can add a field response to knowledge base. You can add a field response to a service, or we can just mark it as resolved and it goes away. So yeah, remember that under field responses, what field responses does for you is it allows you to help your bot in getting better by logging all the field requests, all the requests that it has not been able to treat very well with your customers. He logs it here so that you can help the bot to define a more appropriate response or a more appropriate action to be taken. And this is where you can do that by adding it to knowledge base or adding it to a service. Yep. So that is what you have under conversations. Remember, under conversations, you have the support queue, you have the user messages, and you have the field responses. Now, the other thing that I would like to show is under configurations. So under configurations, you have a number of things. You have the apps, you have the bot settings, you have the knowledge base, you have the roles, you have the services, you have the users, and you have the working hours. So I'm going to take all of these ones one by one. But good thing is that we have looked at knowledge base. It is pretty simple. Knowledge base is where you have all your frequently asked questions, and it is prepared by per knowledge base per section. Yeah. So for working hours is pretty simple as it sounds. Working hours is where you can define the working hours for your team. Now let me explain. Now the bot is available 24 hours all year round, right? So the customers can chat with the bot. The bot doesn't have a working hours. It doesn't have a closing time. The bot is available 24/7. Now remember that when we were chatting with the bot earlier, the customer was passed on to an agent. Yeah. Now the agent is the human. So for the human, it is possible that your team has working hours. So let's say your team resumes by 8 and they close by 5 p.m. Now that means outside that period, your team will not be available to chat with customers anymore. So number one, this is where you can come to define your working hours. Yeah. And when you define your working hours, that means you're saying that outside these working hours, my team will not be available to chat with customers. So what you're saying then is that outside these hours, the bot should not pass anybody to the queue, because once they pass anybody to the support queue, nobody will be able to be online to pick those customers up. What then happens is anybody that wants to chat with your team outside those working hours, you can define a response, which I'm going to show later on. There's a response that is defined, a polite response that tells your customers that so it is currently outside our working hours. And then the bot can collect the request or collect the issues and send it to your team via mail. And then when your team resumes back in the office, they can treat it. So this is where you can set your working hours. So all these are checked. It means that you work on Sundays, you work on Mondays, you work on Tuesdays. Unchecking it means you don't work on Sundays. Well, checking it means you work on Sundays, and you can define the working hours for that particular day. You can set holidays. So you can set special working hours. Maybe there are particular days that you want to work different hours that is different from what you have set here. Maybe you're working half day or you're working overtime for that particular day. You can set it here and select the time and set the time, right? You can also select your holidays. If there are holidays, you can select holidays here and then you can save. Yeah, so that is what is possible on the working hours. So remember, the working hours is just for you to set the working hours for your team. And it is possible that your team also work 24/7. Yeah, as you have it here. So you see 12 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. This is more or less 24 hours. Yeah. So the next thing I would like to show is under bot settings. So under bot settings, you have things like the channel settings and you have the bot responses. Yeah. So let's look at the channel settings. The first thing here is under support settings. The first thing I would like to show is the working hours that we just looked at. For your working hours, you can either enable it or disable. When it is enabled like this, yeah, that means you are telling the bot that you actually have working hours. So when it is enabled like this, you go back to the working hours to set your working hours. If you disable the working hours, that means you're saying that your team is available 24/7 and you don't have a working hours. You work round the clock. You don't have the working hour. But enable means that you have working hours and then you can go to working hours to set the working hours. Live chats, of course, live chat is that function that allows your customers to chat with your team real time on support queue. So here it is enabled. That means you support live chat. You can disable live chat, which means that customers will not be able to chat with your support at all when it is disabled. But right now it is enabled. So we have things like the support queue email notification. Yeah, so what is the support queue email notification? If you remember earlier when customer joins the queue, you saw a visual queue, yeah, here, a visual queue that says Charles Ademona has joined the queue, yeah. So beyond that, we could also push a notification to you, to your email. So if you look at here, you see email for support notifications. So this email that you have provided here. Now, so if you set support queue email notification to always, that means you're saying that every time a customer joins the queue, you want to get a notification in your email address, which is this, yeah. So it is currently set as always. But if you want to change these settings, you can change it. So you can select when a customer is delayed. That means you're saying that I only want to get notification in this email only when customer has been delayed. Now, delayed for how long? Now, this is where this time comes to play. Yeah, we have a time here called the wait time, and it is usually in minutes. So the wait time here is 5 minutes. That means you're saying that when customer has waited for 5 minutes, please send me a notification here, right? And the other thing here is that if a customer has waited for 5 minutes on the queue and nobody has attended to the customer, at exactly 5 minutes that you have set here, the customer receives an automated response that basically tells the customer, sorry, our agents are currently busy, we'll be with you shortly. That advises the customer for either customer to wait, or the customer can just drop you a message and you get back to the customer. So this is where you define that wait time. You can increase this time to 10 minutes or 4 minutes or 5 minutes or 15 minutes or 15 minutes or 20 minutes, depending on your agreement with your customers or what your processes are. So right now it is 10 minutes. Now we have the queue attendance type. Queue attendance type, let me explain queue attendance type. Yeah, queue attendance type is where you define how your support team, how they chat with how they pick customers up from the queue. If you remember earlier, you have more than one person on the queue. You have like 5 people, you have like 10 people. How do you want them to be attended to? Do you want it randomly, where customers can, when agents can select from anywhere on the queue, or you want it sequentially? Sequentially means that you can only pick from the top, that is first come, first serve. You can only pick from the top, yeah. But right now, agents can pick randomly. Now we have what we call auto-end conversation. Yeah. Now let me explain this auto-end conversation. So because we have the bot, yeah, and we have the human. So here, when customers are saying, what kinds of loans do you have, for example, yeah, this interaction is happening between the bot and the customer, between the customer and the bot. Yeah. So the customer goes ahead and chats with the bot all day. Yeah. But immediately the customer says, I want to speak with someone. Yeah. Say I want to speak with someone. Let's say I want to speak with support. Excuse me. Let's say I say I want to speak with support. It's a presenter, a brief description. Say I want to ask a question. Yeah. It says I'll be transferring to a customer, and I say yes. Yeah. So here it transfers me to the support queue. Yeah, you can see the visual queue that I was saying. The business also would have received, if the queue email notification is set as always, the business also would have received a mail as a notification. Let me show you that. Yeah, you see here. You see here. Yeah, that is because it is set as always. Yeah, this can be changed. So what I wanted to show is what this auto end conversation actually means. So we have this customer now on the queue, right? You know, this guy is still on the queue. No conversation has been initiated with this guy. So this guy can still be chatting with the bot, right? I can still be chatting. I want to buy airtime. Yeah, so this guy is still onto a bot, and he can continue to chat with the bot, perform transactions, and all of those kind of things. Yeah. But immediately, the conversation is the chat is picked up by a human. So now I'm starting a chat with Charles. Immediately I start this chat with Charles. Immediately the chat starts. Now the customer, you see, hi, you are through to Charles. Now this customer has been handed over to a human. That means he can no longer chat with the bots at this time that he has been handed over to a human. Yeah. So now this conversation is now between between the customer and agent named Charles. Yeah. So these conversations can go on and on and on and on and on, and one of the party can actually stop replying. Yeah. That means if that happens, that means the customer will be stuck in this chat. The customer will not be able to chat with the bot anymore until this chat is done. Until this ongoing chat with the human is done, this customer will not be able to perform transactions. This customer will not be able to chat with the bot anymore. So the customer, that means the customer will be stuck with this agent. Now, to protect against that, then that's why you have the auto end conversation. Yeah. So auto end conversation, you have an option of auto end live chat if there's no response from the customer. So what you're saying is that if the last message came from the support agent and the customer is nowhere to be found and there's no response from the customer, that means you're saying that that conversation should auto end. So that means in the next 30 minutes, if there's no response from the customer, the bot sends a prompt to the customer, and if the customer doesn't still respond after 30 minutes, the bot auto ends that conversation so that that customer is not stuck in that chat. Yeah, so that the customer can reinitiate the chat with support. The second option is if there's no response from the agent or from the customer. So let's say one of them forgot. Maybe let's say one of them walked away. Say the agent walked away or the customer walked away. So if if this option is in play, that means you're saying that if there's no response from the agent or the customer, you should auto end that conversation. Or the other option is just not even to do any auto end at all. That means that if the option is no auto end, that customer will be stuck in that conversation until the conversation is actually ended intentionally. Yeah. So we have the knowledge base settings. We have the show related response from the knowledge base. Right now, it is yes. You have yes and you have no. So let me explain show related what this means. Let's go back to that channel. So let's end this chat. So let's end this chat with human so that we can chat with the bot. Yeah. Okay, that chat has ended. Okay, so let me rate. So, yep. So let's say I ask a question, the same, our favorite question, what kinds of loans do you have? Yeah. So it goes to the knowledge base. Yeah. It fetches the response. It fetches the response from the knowledge base for the customer. Yeah. And remember, that after giving the response to the customer, it basically asks this follow-up question: does the above answer your request? And I say, no, it doesn't answer my request. Remember that what happens is it goes to the knowledge base to fetch more response, right? And this is what this means: show related response, right? So we can, right now, this is happening. It is showing more related response, yeah, because the option here is yes. So let's say we change it to no, yeah. What you're saying is that the bot should not show this one at all, yeah. Immediately the customer says no, skip this step and pass the customer to an agent. So let's try that again. Remember that we have changed the settings to no. So let's say what kinds of loans do you have? The bot provides that response, and then we can say no. So, okay, yeah, so does the above answer your request? And we say no. So it won't show, because we have set it as no, it won't show more response. Instead, it will skip that step and say, and request to pass to an agent, yeah? So that is what happens when you select no, but let's take it back to yes, which is the default. Now we have the knowledge base type, knowledge base question type. We have it as question as response or question as option. So let me explain this a bit again. So when the customer says that the above doesn't answer my request, it goes back to the knowledge base to fetch more response. Yeah, so see, you say, can I get a loan? It shows the response, and then it has, does the above answer your request? And we say no. And it shows other responses like this. Yeah, it shows them like this as a response to the customer, because what you said here is question as response. No. So let's say we say question as option for the customer to select. So let's see what that looks like. Say, can I get a loan? So we can see the difference. Yeah, so can I get a loan brings the response, and then it asks that follow-up question, and we say no. Yeah, so it now brings it back as option now. So I'm sorry, I wasn't quite helpful. So it brings back the related responses. Now it brings it back as option for the customer to select. Yeah, so it's telling the customer that below is the related, below are the questions that are related to your inquiry. How do I borrow, which is item 1? How do I get a card, which is item 2? So let's say I select item 2. Yeah, the bot then goes to fetch the response to this, how do I get a card? So and this is the response to the knowledge base. Yeah, so that is how it differs from, that is how the question as option differs from question as response. Yeah, so let's take it back to question as response. The other thing I would like to show is the unknown service count. Now, the unknown service count, what it means is that what happens, so how does your bot behave when it doesn't know how to handle a request? Yeah, so when the bot doesn't understand a request at all, what should it do? How many times should it try? Should it attempt to understand the customer? So we have 1, 2, 3. So you're saying that how many times should the bot attempt to understand the customer before passing the customer to a support person? So right now, it is set as 2. So that means that before the bot passes that customer to an agent, to a support agent, at least try to understand the customer, attempt twice to understand the customer. So this can be changed to 1. If this is changed to 1, that means you're saying that at the moment you don't understand what our customer is saying, immediately pass the customer to an agent. Or if you set as 3, it means you're saying that before you pass that customer to an agent, at least have 3 attempts in understanding what the customer is saying. But let's set it back to the default, which is 2. So those are the settings that you have on the channel settings. Remember, in channel settings, basically what you're doing is you're adjusting and readjusting how your bot behaves. So you have things around defining the wait time, defining how to head conversation options, defining how, if the bot should show related responses. You're also defining the attempt, how many attempts the bot should have before passing the customer to support when it doesn't understand the customer's request. So now we have things like bot responses. And bot responses is those response that the bot gives when it's making different requests. So you have a long list of the responses, but I'm going to take us through the most popular ones, so that's the most relatable ones. So you have the welcome message. Let's see, the welcome message here is when the customer says hello, or when the customer says good morning. What should the bot show? Yeah. So yeah, in this case, when customer says good hello or good morning or hi there, so the bot said, hello Charles, I am demo work, I can help answer your question. So this can be adjusted here, right? You can see welcome message, and you can see that this is what is defined as the welcome message. So this can be changed, it can be readjusted to something else here, right? So the same thing applies for every single one of them here. So let's see, outside of working hours, what happens? What should your bots display to customers when they want to chat with you outside working hours? So this is where it is defined. Yeah. So what's currently there is their name. It is currently outside our working hours. Would you like to leave us a message so that our agent can get back to you as soon as possible? Or please select the below to continue services. So this is what is currently set to be displayed to customer as outside working hours message. Yeah. So you have different messages. What should the bot say when the bot is passing someone to your queue? What should the bot say when customer is delayed on the queue? Right now, this is what is being displayed. Hi, we're sorry for the inconvenience, but all our agents are currently busy. Would you like to leave us a message? Yeah. And so this is where you can, basically what is going on here is you are adjusting the tone, or you're adjusting the English or the statement your bot gives when your bot is making a request or advising the customer. Yeah, so this is where you can adjust those responses. So here you have a long list. You can just look through the list and see the message you want to adjust, and then you can expand, and you'd see when user is already on the queue and user wants to join the queue, what should you show? So this is the current message that is being shown. Oops, you're already on the queue. So you can change this by providing a more appropriate response or a custom message in this text field provided here. Yeah. So I think that is it. That's basically all I have to show. Subscribers shows the list of all the customers that have subscribed on your channel. Subscribes means that those customers have provided their details on that platform, that channel, on that particular channel, and they have been enrolled on that channel. So you see the customers who have enrolled on different channels for this particular business. So for Demo Bank, it has enrolled on WhatsApp. He has enrolled on web chats on different browsers. So yeah, that is subscribers. And we have things around reports. So you can go through the reports. We have the chat sessions report, we have the customer service report, we have the new customer report, we have the service usage report, and we have the conversations report, right? So let's just look at just 2 of the reports. The support sessions report shows you it shows you what happened in each support session. So you can see this is Charles Ademola, customer that chatted with agent Charles, and the chat was rated 5. The chat happened at this time, and the chat went on for about 4 minutes. Charles waited for about 1 minute on the queue before it was picked up, and this chat happened on WhatsApp. And the chat ended because the customer ended the chat. That was what happened. That was what happened here. Yep, that was what happened here. So yep. So this is you can see all the chats. You can see all the chat, and you can see how it went. And you can see average report for agent activities here. This average report shows you the average report of your support team. So you see the average rating for Charles within this period is about 5 stars. Charles had about 3 chats. He had 0 chat assigned. The average duration for all his chats is 2 minutes. And he has login time of 4 minutes within this period, and he has chat duration for average chat time of 8 minutes, and so on and so forth. So I think that's all I have to show. The dashboard just basically shows you quick stats on your customers' activity on different channels within a particular period. So you see the figures around to the total service that has been used, the unique services, the number of customers that have chatted within that period, the number of chat sessions, the number of customer messages, and then you can also see the channel that customers are engaging you from. So you see for this business, it's actually WhatsApp followed by Facebook. And then you see the report of the graph of what questions your customers are asking. If you remember at the beginning when we were going through the knowledge base, and I was saying that 2 reasons why it is important to prepare your knowledge base in sections. Yeah, this is the second reason why it is important. The first reason is that so that when you want to edit your knowledge base, when you want to edit a particular question, because you have prepared your knowledge base in sections, you know exactly what section to go to edit that particular section. But when you want to add more questions, you know what sections to put, what existing section to put such questions to. The second reason is because of this report. So we're showing you this report of what customers are actually asking, what customers are talking about on your channels, on your platform. So you'd see that within this period, a lot of customers have done things around account opening. They will ask questions around account opening. Some more customers ask questions around small talks. Some ask questions around support, and so on and so forth. So this is the report. This is the report that I spoke about earlier, and this is why it is also important for you to prepare your knowledge base in section. So I think that is all I have to show. I hope this was very, 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 very helpful. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us via mail, and we'll be able to attend to your questions. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the platform. Bye.